your team if they wanna lose, yeah. And who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
This is Dr. Neal with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and Mike Washington. We have our guest today, Texas Southern University's women's basketball coach, Coach Vernette Skeete, 13th head women's coach in the program's history. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the lab, Coach Skeete.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good stuff. You know, during those commercial breaks, we already tell everybody it really gets good. And unfortunately, we can't air that on the show. We have a good time in the background as we trying to make this all work. Sure. But it's good to have you. One of the things you were mentioning at break, I want to give people a chance. A lot of folks know, obviously, you went to school at Alcorn and had a chance to go through your coaching. But where you originally from?
I was born in Florida. But I am of Caribbean descent. My dad's from Barbados. And so I've stayed a little bit of everywhere at this point, but my roots go back to the Caribbean. And so I'm a Florida girl.
Good. Mm-hmm. So Mike is going to ask you for some rice and peas and rice. He learned how to say it correctly.
Peas and rice.
Right. He says it wrong, but we got it right. Say it right now. Our last interview was with the new AD.
Saturday, so yeah.
Oh, now you tell us. You got a new best friend. Whatever you need, don't kill us. We got it.
We cook around here. We don't play no games.
Yeah, our last interview we had the new athletic director at the University of Virgin Islands, and so we got into some of that Caribbean dishes. So this is right on time. This is good.
That Virgin Islands don't really make the real jerk, but what's the difference? It's not, they too Americanized, it's but we still love them all the same, It ain't the same no more.
This sounds like Africa and Nigeria and Ghana in terms of the Jollof Wars.
Yeah.
We go get the peas and rice wars. This is good.
Peas and rice, baby.
I saw Rihanna and because Rihanna is Bajan also. That's what you call people from Barbados. And Nicki Minaj, she's from Trinidad. And they were joking and they was like, yeah, we like each other in Caribbean, but we do things like the line. We draw the line, in the sea where the fish fly. So with that divide. That divide right there make us a little different, but the way we cook and the way we do stuff, it's a little bit of
that's real talk. See, now y'all get stuff you can't get anywhere else. Well, let's get into some real basketball talk and business. I know you're excited about this second year as you're building the program. Tell us a little bit about what are the expectations. I know people are getting into football season, but before they know it, it's time for basketball. As you already have your students coming in and things of that nature. Well, what are the expectations for the basketball team this year?
I mean, even with recruiting, I talk a lot about the pride of Houston, and I have termed this phrase the middle class Mecca because in Houston, there is so many entrepreneurial spirits, hard workers, go-getter, like in the ground, in the dirt, from the muscle. And I want our team to be community, right? I want the community to be able to have a reflection of them in us. They see us working hard. They see us grinding. We didn't have an easy road. We're battling from a season of roughness and transition and turnover. And we're coming, to put some pride on there and still put out a good product. And so I think what we're trying to build a product that resembles the same thing, the spirit of Houston, the middle class Mecca, hard work, grit, do things the right way, and succeed. Because Texas in itself is about there's a lot of success, so.
That's a great term. That's a great term.
I like that.
I'm about to copyright it. I know I
didn't you need to do that. I want the first shirt. Charles, go ahead and follow up.
Copyright that.
Coach Skeete, I wanted to ask, what, if anything, did you learn about your team or the culture of Texas Southern your first year there?
I had a mission of the way I wanted to coach basketball, just being on so many elite levels and things that I saw as an assistant that you don't always get to see as a head coach or anything, because the kids come to you more. And just things that even though you may be experiencing success, the kids were missing. And when it comes to women's basketball, and I can't speak to any other sport, there's a huge disparity of what happens after the court is over. And once the ball drops and you can no longer bounce it, who do they become? What are they doing in life? How are they succeeding? And it's a direct correlation with the success that they have on the court and how they viewed it, and so knowing that was a tie into our success, and we're not $75 million contracts. When God sent me to build this, when he gave me a vision for what I wanted to do, I felt like I had to be tried through the fire. Like, are you going to stick to this? Are you still going to pour in character, integrity, God, excellence, even when it's not showing the results? But what it did, it made me a better coach. And I'm actually there because I do understand my patience, where you can't plant the seed and eat the apple overnight, and a lot of people want that. But our roots were growing. And unfortunately, we were the very first meeting I ever had with the girls, I asked them, what do they want to be known for? And they said competitiveness. They wanted to be competitors. So all year long, even though our wins and losses we competed in a lot of those games up and down. And so we accomplished that. Now it's definitely time to accomplish more. But what it really taught me was to remember that some of the wins aren't always seen up. And don't compromise, because what I'm building needs strong roots so it can withstand. And so now you'll kind of see the benefits of that foundation. And that. So it really taught me that this is I'm so blessed to have an administrator and an AD like, VP Kevin Granger, who really saw because he played here. He has the passion and the love for this place. And he didn't come in wanting instant success or to glamorize. He wanted it to be built correctly. And there's so many people across the TSU board that want alumni, like Elaine Britton. And, there's so many fans that come in that really want this to be built the right way. And so I wanted to give respect to that as a building. I think we're getting to a place where we will do that. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Great point. And you talked about your experience as you traveled and had a chance to grow in your coaching schemes, and coming from Texas A&M under Hall of Fame head coach.
And it's his birthday
Blair, for those that may be familiar with him.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
We just celebrated a birthday yesterday talking about that. Marquette, Illinois. That's Charles over there. He don't worry about that. He gonna ask for something. So don't get into it. Don't get fooled.
You know how I work, so you know the situation.
Mike, go ahead and ask your follow-up question before we all get in trouble.
I know, right? Y'all walking toward the cliff. So So as Dr. Cavill alluded to, you have a varied degree of experiences with Texas A&M, Illinois, Marquette. You have HBC roots, I believe, at Alcorn. So you take this gumbo of experiences and you mix, what you're going to do in Houston. But tell us about what's the gumbo in your sauce? How are you going to recruit people from Houston? Because we typically have a problem with keeping Texas talent in Texas. And so if you want to circle around Houston, what is going to be the gumbo in what's going to be the secret sauce?
I tell people all the time, don't ask me questions that you want the truth in, because I don't have a fluff gene. And the reality of the situation, Texas is successful. It is big, it is bright, and it does a lot. So these kids in these high schools, they come from winning traditions. They're playing on the most elite levels. They've had trainers. They've had elite, I get videos from recruits right now. They got the bands on. They're doing explosive training. They're doing this stuff in high school that you think you should. Like when I was getting to college, we were exposed to, or you saw the pros do that you might have not done. But these kids are doing this now. So they're already winning. They already have nutrition plans. They already have a regimen. They're coming out with that. So you have to be able to match that. They're not going to go down, going up. So we have to have a program that establishes that, because we got a lot of kids who honestly, our roster, compared to our record, probably, but they're bought into the vision of what we're trying to do, which is something historic, so they're bought into that. But a lot of these kids, like, they have tremendous work ethics and excellency. They're on the USA team. They're like, Texas is has a plethora of talent that can rise, but they already, like, they know what they're looking for. They're serious kids. This is a serious sports. Like, these kids know what pros look like. They know what they're looking for. They're not confused. So we have to be able to match that. And we are building that every single day. But this isn't a place where you can just, come go, you got a scholarship, let's go. Like, no, these kids want to plan. They want, they want to be seen. Everything is on social media every single day. They don't want to feel like they're getting less. And they're coming from enormous high schools who have tremendous resources, who doing the same thing that some of these colleges are doing already. So they want this winning characteristic. They want to travel. They want to go for, like, some of these high schools. I talked to a high school coach the other day. He was like, I'm taking my team to play, I was like, out of the country? Like, wow. That's here in Texas. So, that's what we got to match. We've got to continue to elevate and build a platform that sustains things that they're experiencing already if we want to continue to get top talent. But if you ask them, should we go to the Dollar General and hand out a scholarship? Well, yeah, we could do that, but it's not going to elevate the program, So when you're talking about serious kids who are going to take the sport serious and bring pride and respect, these kids in Texas already have that. They already know what it looks like, and that's respect. And I've lived in Florida, and that's no disrespect to any other state, but Texas by far, because the climate and the environment breeds so many opportunities. Like, Illinois is cold all the time. Florida, there's other stuff, like, people ain't really, where football is great. It's a little bit more, but like the sharpness. Like I said, this is the middle class mecca. So you may be in Florida, but you may not have the resources or the financial situation to do some of these things. In Texas, these kids have this in elementary.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's so true.
Coach, I want to follow up on that, because I think that is fascinating and extremely important that we get a chance with somebody that's expert in the field that has done it, particularly in the state, and seen it so much. What are your thoughts in regards to what the separation has been in Texas? A lot of people see Texas as a football state, right? Mm-hmm. And over a long period of time, it maybe was, but maybe over the last 10, if I'm not correct, 15 years. And it's always had a basketball tradition, particularly in Dallas, Houston, over a period of time. But it sounds like the state, in a lot of ways, has moved to have more basketball success at the collegiate level, whether that's Texas Southern, Prairie View, men's programs, women's programs over the years. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you start taking it out from Texas A&M, Texas Tech, many of these programs, men's and women's, have had significant success, Final Four, national championships, every time on the women's side. What do you see as the difference since you've been here and have been exposed in regards to why you're seeing success, regardless of the division conference in a lot of ways, in basketball versus not in football?
I mean, honestly, it is the resource shift, because this is the reality. There's not a state, there's not a high-level program, there's not a program that don't recruit from Texas. It ain't one. You can ask any power, and basketball for the longest. And what happens is our kids leave and then they come back if it don't work. But if they leave, they go. And so much because it hasn't been the focus. People didn't want to sit behind football. They didn't want to sit behind, other sports. And in other places like the Indianas, the Floridas, where those sports were rising, people went to that. But they all took Texas kids. Like, look at the research. All of these kids are from Texas. All of these kids have had success. And then the schools that, they were able to keep some of these Texas kids home. It wasn't as much as a priority. And so now that you see the transition kind of flowing through all sports, kids are like, well, I'm gonna stay. Yeah, I'm gonna stay. And so it's shifting. So people are a little bit more pro, but it's kind of like, I'm gonna go where I'm valued. Everybody I have been one of the top recruiters in, this industry, most of my career, and I can honestly say there hasn't been a time. I remember when I first started out in Miami, I was flying out to Dallas. I was flying out to, like, I know, like, that was it was my stop. I knew who DFW was. I knew it. Like, there wasn't, we ventured in these places a lot. I remember understanding how hot Texas was coming from Florida and walking out the gym for the first time as a college coach, and it was 100 degrees at night. And I'm like, what? It's different, but now I think Texas has got a little bit of like, now we got to show our love to our kids because we're watching them go be successful so many other places. So it was a focus of whoever's controlling the revenue. You can tell it was a shift in the demand to keep these kids home. And the minute they said that, and again, we all want to feel love, right? So the minute they started feeling the love,
right,
recruited on a high thing, they start staying. Yeah.
I think you said it perfectly when you talk about folks want to be valued. Charles, did you want to get a quick question? I know folks have to get out of here, so I want to value that.
Kind of fascinating because I'm curious about the unique challenge of selling Texas Southern, especially with regards to, you mentioned middle class Mecca, with so many high schools that are haves. I mean, there is a plethora of high schools around just the Houston area that absolutely have pretty much everything they need. And you mentioned the players coming in, they already, have nutritional plans. They already have a program. How does that present a unique challenge for you at Texas Southern?
It's resources is always the challenge. And then there's two components, right? You have kids who are definitely not as exposed in probably areas that have left, like everybody doesn't have that. But then when you look at TSU as a university, like our standards of entry are very high compared to most HBCUs as well. And so I joke, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but I used to call it that when I first got here, I was like, this is Texas Stanford University. Like, this thing's, because it's harder to get kids in. And so if they don't have that program where they used to that regimen and those grades and those to get in, then they're so used to the good stuff on the other end that it's also like, well, can I have more? And so because any serious athlete, and we can make this seem as good a high or low as we want to, but any serious athlete that is going to college for whatever sport they're going to, they want the freedom to not have to worry and to be able to participate in that sport wholeheartedly. What does that mean? I don't want to worry about nutrition. I don't want to worry about housing. I don't want to have to worry about paying I want to be able to focus wholeheartedly in this thing that they're doing. So there's such a catch-22 with where the NCAA is going now, and now adding this component in NILs. Yes, because we can't technically take care of the kids, but the kids who need to be taken care of, we're not going to go spread it out. And so now we're glamorifying, we're giving it to people. We're like, oh yeah, they need it, they get it. But like the ones who continue to get it poured on, it's not helping the bottom half make it a competitive mess because we still have deprivation at the bottom. And the top is continuing to get into the top. And I'm not saying that they don't need it or don't deserve it, but like after you hit a certain amount, which if I would have created the NCAA, okay, what's a rational amount that you should have? Okay, once you get to $500,000, you can't accept no more. Trickle that on down to somebody else. But we'll have one person making millions and trillions, and then you got everybody else who might not need. So now I'm trying to compete versus them, and I'm hungry. I don't have this, I don't have that. And so how is my mind? Like, I would love for all colleges to be able to present a package where we take away worry, stress from the kids, and they get to see who's the real athletes, who really could focus, who really could give their body and their soul and bring their body under and compete into a way to be successful. And we often don't have that. And then we wonder why they can't match up. And it's not talent. We could probably go in there and drill for drill. These kids can compete equally, but the endurance of it is not there because we're trying to put 87, in a Lambo.
Yep.
Yeah, that's real.
That's real.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
Coach, I know you have a busy schedule and you had something scheduled that you need to get to.
Oh man,
Exactly. So I wanted to get you out on this. I wanted to make sure we gave you a moment. Any last thing you wanted to share specifically that you wanted to communicate and get to the community out there at large? I want to give you this moment before we take our next
people
break.
ask a lot of what we can do all the time, and I say support isn't always monetary. I may go to your mansion and feel like out of place because I'm scared to touch something, sit down and move. But I could come to, the hood and everybody on the porch, everybody running in there and gave me 15 hugs before I got to the door, hand me a plate of chicken, told me I was too skinny. The place I'm going to go back the most is probably in the hood. Does that make sense? And so what I would encourage the fans, I see a lot of keep them here. Y'all don't leave, da-da-da. Show them your support. Fill the gym up. Because what we lack in other resources, we can give in love. And that's what the HBCU started on. That's the theme of it. That was we come out, we get dressed, we celebrate the frat sorority, and we show love when we have lack. The love covered the lack. And that was the theme of our HBCU. And so we've got to keep building that up. And now everybody got busy, everybody got their own world. And that's so hard because we are in a middle class Mecca where everybody got something going on. But if we decide to pour into these kids and show them the love and make this feel like a home, we're going to get more out of all of them. And that's going to be a feeling that they're going to have forever. So if I could encourage you to do anything, is get some season tickets, get the schedule, come to some home games. We got 5 non-conference home games this year. Get out, say hi to these kids. My kids are very approachable. Show the love because love encourages us to take that extra step when we feel like we can't breathe.
Very well.
Good stuff.
Very well stated.
Good stuff. Great point.
Great stuff.
That's Coach Vernette Skeete, Texas Southern University's women's basketball coach. You'll be hearing more from her as the season gets in there. As you said, for those out that are in Houston, particularly Texas Southern fans, get your season tickets.
Yes.
You're in this area, you want to see some HBCU sports support, come right on here to H&P Arena because you got a good product on the field, and Coach Skeete is getting it done the right way.
He's a Rice.
We'll get a chance to bring you back on as things come back.
With the Captain Clinton.
Make sure
He's a Rice.
With that being said,
let's go.
We'll let Coach Skeete out of here before we get in trouble with that. We'll be right back after this break.